Today on the Callahan Podcast, we will give you the latest from Minnesota on the rioting, or as the media likes to call it, the peaceful protesting. They looted a Dollar Tree, and apparently a big gang of thieves made off with like $6 worth of merchandise. Who's responsible? Well, as usual, we're going to blame the media, we're going to blame some politicians, and we're going to blame the rioters. We will give you the latest from Minnesota and let you know if the Red Sox plan to play anytime soon. The Red Sox and Twins were postponed due to rioting yesterday. Also, we will tell you how the White House is reaching out to rednecks. We'll give you the latest on Humpty Dumpty, Brian Stelter's ridiculous story on CNN, and we will bid farewell to Julian Edelman. Is he a Hall of Famer? How is history going to look back on the career of Julian Edelman? All that today on the Callahan Podcast, brought to you as usual by DCU, Digital Credit Federal Credit Union. Why do DCU members love their free checking accounts? It's simple: no monthly maintenance fees, no minimum balance, no strings attached. What's better is that with direct deposit to their free checking account, DCU members can get paid up to 2 days early. Who doesn't love getting paid early? Zero monthly maintenance fees, zero monthly balance, zero reasons not to switch. They'll even remove the hassle of switching your direct deposits and automatic payments from your current checking account. Learn more and make the switch today at dcu.org/free checking. Insured by NCUA, membership required. All right, Callahan, let's go.
This is the Jerry Callahan Podcast.
All right, quick morning update here from the Callahan Podcast. The rioting continues. I'm sorry. The peaceful protests continue. As far as we can tell, there no deaths, minimal arrests, and lots of laughs with the TV interviews. Both CNN and MSNBC, their street reporters, got overwhelmed by men on the street interviews that got out of hand. They were swearing and very colorful language. And MSNBC actually aired the N-word, which left Rachel Maddow mortified. I don't know if you want to play that, Callahan, or a little bit of it. We're not. It's literally like 2 minutes long. There was two guys, both of them ranting and swearing and using the N-word, and the reporter, whoever it was, they don't know what to do because they are rooting for these people, the angry protesters. They're on their side. That the CNN reporter literally said to the guy, I'm on your side, when he said, get out of here, the media, you're the problem. But it's 100% true. I'm not saying the media is the whole problem, but the media is a big part of the problem. How
about just at the press conference yesterday where they were talking?
That was unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
When they have the police chief and he says rioters, and the alleged reporter says there were no riots. I'm going, wait a second. You're supposed, maybe you're a columnist, but you're supposed to be in the media, and you're sitting there trying to change the narrative. We saw it with our own eyes. We saw riots. We saw stuff being thrown, and we saw fires, and we saw violence and stuff, literally rocks and bricks thrown at the cops. That's a riot. And the media won't allow the police chief, who, by the way, I'm going to predict right now will be out of a job by the end of the week. He's much too he's not playing along, and he's literally saying these are rioters, violent rioters, and the media will have no part of that. Can we play that? Can we listen to that? That was incredible.
One final question: what was your decision to issue a dispersal order while they were peacefully protesting in front of the police station? What led to you to issue a dispersal order, and then on the back end of that 10-minute dispersal order, then to issue out CO2 canisters and gas for the crowd?
So,
can you talk to us about that?
Just so everybody's clear, I was front and center at the protest, at the riot. We did not.
There was not a riot. Don't do that. There was no riot.
There was. So, the officers that were putting themselves in harm's way were being pelted with frozen cans of pop. They were being pelted with concrete blocks. And yes, we had our helmets on and we had other protection gear, but an officer was injured, hit in the head with a brick. That was a Hennepin County deputy. He was transported to the hospital. So we had to make decisions. We had to.
All right. That's incredible. An officer is hit in the head with a brick. Now, obviously, I have no sympathy for Kimberly Potter. We'll get to her, Shadow, and we'll get to this incompetent fool. But can you imagine being a cop, being a chief, and you're doing your best? This is a crime-riddled town area, Brooklyn Center, and you get hit in the head with a brick, and the freaking media won't allow you to call it a riot. They're worried about, the terminology you're using. It is Donald Trump was never more accurate than when he said enemy of the people. That is that right there is an example of why he called them the enemy of the people, and it's a good example. We saw with our eyes. We know it was a riot. And by the way, wouldn't the rioters admit they were rioting? I mean, are they worried about the terminology? I mean, they're rioting. And these media clowns, these stooges, these absolute embarrassments say, no, it wasn't a riot. They're worried about what the chief is using for words. It's incredible.
What is a protest in a Walmart called exactly?
Right. What do you call the looting of the Dollar Tree? Is that peaceful?
And I love how the reporter says, don't do that. Don't do that. In other words, don't do that. Don't call it a riot. We've already written the story about the peaceful protests. Don't start using terminology that's going to compel us to have to drastically change our stories. This is a late night. We've already missed the first deadline. We're not doing it again. We've already written about the protest. But also,
so dishonest. It's just dishonest.
Well, what if it's not dishonest, Jerry? What if they think that police getting hit in the head with bricks isn't a riot? Isn't unlawful? What if they think that's the status quo and that's acceptable?
Well, there's no question. They support that. And I was going to get to this later, but let's do it now. There are a number of people who are responsible when there is, when a Dollar Tree in a minority neighborhood is looted and they don't condemn it. I mean, as we've said many times, the worst one of all is my crazy congressperson, Ayanna Pressley, who said we need more unrest in the streets as long as she's supporting it, even applauding it. You have the media, the Joy Reids and Chris Cuomo's who don't just make excuses or rationalize for it. They literally romanticize it. This is the voice of the unheard. How many times have you heard that MLK quote? It's rioting is the voice of the unheard. So they use, Martin Luther King to defend the people, the criminals who loot a Dollar Tree in a minority, in a working class neighborhood. Who is that helping? Who is it hurting? I'll tell you what's hurting. The guy who owns it, the people who work there, who loot a Walmart, a Target, a GameStop, a Foot Locker. Is that really the voice of the unheard? Do you really think Martin Luther King was talking about people who smashed the windows, went in and robbed and took sneakers or took what do you take at a Dollar Tree? Little bottles of shampoo. I mean, what do you pencils?
I'm blown away by the auto parts store. It's like, how don't you have to look up what part to get for like a 92 Celica? Doesn't it take time?
I think they sell some shirts and hats and stuff that say, like whatever, Porsche on them or something. You could get some pretty cool hats. But I went into a Dollar Tree for the first time in my life a couple weeks ago. And you know what's amazing, Shannon? Everything in there costs $1. I thought it was a gimmick. There was some stuff that was $1. And once you're in the store, over here, we have the real nice stuff that costs like $4. Everything in the store is $1. And these people, these criminals are going in there and robbing them blind. This place that's catering to people that don't have a lot of disposable income in a tough neighborhood. And the place is destroyed. And I blame three people. I blame politicians like Ayanna Pressley and AOC, who said famously, they just want bread. They just want bread. That's why they're robbing GameStop and Foot Locker, because they want bread. Ayanna Pressley, who said, we need more of this. We need more rioting. She's talking about. Can you imagine being an owner of one of these stores, or just a manager of GameStop or Foot Locker, and you hear your congressperson say we need more of this kind of crime? It's madness. And then the media, Kamala Harris, and I love Kamala Harris with both the politicians and the celebrities, the John Cena's and the Ben Stillers and the rest of these a-holes who donated money and said, I want to bail them out. I want to bail out the criminals who are robbing businesses blind, destroying property. Here's the money. I mean, we already been over the comparison to January 6th, where you have people who are still in jail for trespassing 3 months later. There's no one bailing them out. No one wants to bail. Not only do you make bail if you're on the right side of the fight, if you're in BLM or in Antifa, you're out like in 10 minutes. We're just talking about the rioting last night in Portland, and there's more wild video of guys throwing rioters throwing things, setting fires, throwing things at cops. And Andy the guy who tweets about it and tweets out a lot of videos, says this was going on all night in Portland. There were no arrests. The cops didn't want to arrest, or were under orders not to arrest anyone, so as not to escalate the situation. Right. So they get to destroy property, literally throw stuff at cops, shoot fireworks at cops, set fires, and they don't get arrested. It's just mind-boggling.
Not only do they not get arrested, but they've scared the mayor out of Portland. He moved out of his apartment in Portland. They own the streets there. You're right. And because, a year ago when there were arrests, it was Trump throwing people into minivans, wantonly kidnapping people. It's crazy. And you talk about Ayanna Pressley saying we want unrest in the streets if there's unrest in our lives. Well, great. Because of her policies, you had unrest in the streets in Dorchester where a grandmother was just shot while sitting on a porch, shot and killed in front of 2 little girls. Because there's freaking crime is rampant in all major cities now, and Boston is not exempted from this.
So I blame politicians, celebrities, and the media. The media, you'll see it again all this week. We'll be saying, we understand the frustration, we understand the anger. This is what happens when you don't. And I'll sit there and go, well, of course we understand the anger. Everyone should be angered at what this officer Kimberly Porter did, and the way Daunte Wright's life ended. I mean, it's incompetence. It's negligent. She's fired. She should be prosecuted. I mean, cops should be disgusted. Everyone should be disgusted. But to get from there to the Foot Locker, or from there to the Dollar Tree is insane. I mean, to say, I understand that's why they're looting a store. No, your job as a leader, whether you're a politician or a celebrity, should be to condemn in the strongest terms. How hard is that? I said it all summer. Can't we all agree on one thing? We want unity under Joe Biden, the great unifier. Can't we all agree, Shattuck, that rioting, looting, burning, stealing is bad? Where do we get to the point where that's disputable, or that's a great point to debate? Right, destroying a Dollar Tree or a GameStop, ruining property, throwing bricks at cops, it's bad. It's wrong.
Not only is it bad, Jerry, but who's it bad for? And we talk about this year, you watched the Jim Crow Masters last week, in the All-Star game in Georgia was a return to Jim Crow, etc. What we're doing to these black neighborhoods, that is more in the spirit of Jim Crow than anything. For now, 2 years in a row now, in the name of racial reckoning, we're suppressing black activity outside their own doors. We're ending black lives. There's more violent crime, up 200% in some cities. And, you talk about, at the end of the day, the existential damage done to the black community. We have screwed the black community this last year more than we have in 50 years.
Consider this. Consider what upset corporate America and the media. I lump them in. Corporate America, we know these CEOs that met the other day. We've heard from, Coca-Cola and Delta Airlines and United. What upset them? The people of a state, in this case, Georgia, but it's happened in many other states, want people to show an ID when they vote. And 80% of the public, probably more, wants people to show an ID. Very popular, very common sense, not exactly, incendiary. It's just common sense. Show an ID when you vote. We want to make sure it's you. That led to boycotts, MLB pulling out, Will Smith pulling his movie out of Georgia. It led to meetings among CEOs, corporate heads, saying, what are we going to do to these states that demand IDs when you vote? That upset corporate America. They will condemn that in much stronger terms. They'll take action against that. What will they do about people literally destroying businesses, small businesses, not, big ones like Amazon or Apple, but the Dollar Tree. So will corporate America, will any of these a-holes like that British guy from Coke or Tim Cook or Arthur Blank, will any of them come out and strongly condemn Black Lives Matter today? Exactly the opposite, Shattuck. This is where we've reached this point of insanity. Instead of condemning Black Lives Matter for organizing these riots, for destroying property, destroying small businesses, they will support them. They will send them checks. So you're literally bankrolling the rioters at the same time you're saying we are not going to do business in a state that wants whose citizens want to show an ID when they vote.
Yeah, no, it's a class thing. The people in the upper classes in Wellesley, they feel that this is the right side to be on. I don't have to really put any skin in the game. I just have to change my Facebook avatar and slogan an ear here for a couple of days and vote for the right people, and they feel good. And it's ridiculous because it doesn't do any good. These are the same kind of people who change the Indian names of their towns. There's no more Sachems or Red Raiders or Warriors. You can't have the Wakefield Warriors anymore. Because all the white people, guilty-feeling white people in Wakefield have said, we need to change this. This is hurting Native Americans. Native Americans are hurting. There's an opioid problem, an unemployment problem. There are real problems. You could actually do some real stuff to help Native Americans if you wanted to. They're not moving their asses to do any of that stuff. No. It's just to feel good to their friends on Facebook. That's it. This is the Range Rover crowd here, just petting each other and feeling good about
I was shocked that we actually had rioting. We still do it every night in Portland and Seattle and now in Minneapolis, even though Uncle Ben is no longer on the rice box and Aunt Jemima is not on the syrup bottle, and the guy playing Cleveland on Family Guy is black. So I thought that would have solved everything, but who knew? We still have these issues. Here's the other thing, and I mean, it does kind of illuminate the insanity of it all. I mean, did you see Rashida Tlaib's tweet in response to this? This shooting. Here's Congressman Rashida Tlaib. She says it wasn't an accident. Policing in our country is inherently and intentionally racist. Daunte Wright was met with aggression and violence. I'm done with those who condone government-funded murder. No more policing, incarceration, and militarization. It can't be reformed. Okay, the level of stupidity and insanity in that from a sitting congressman is beyond words. Everybody's condemned what Kimberly Potter did. I mean, she shouldn't have been there if she's that incompetent that she doesn't know her taser from her gun. The police chief, to his credit, there's no cover up. This wasn't like Andrew Cuomo. He wasn't covering up the crimes. He flat out said she made a mistake. She used her gun when she thought she was using a taser. You can hear the sound when you watch the video. She says, oh shit, I shot him. It's on the front page of all the New York Post and Daily News, same front page. Oh shit, I shot him. That's the quote. She was shocked. She thought she was using a taser. That's not an excuse. It's just a fact. She's negligent. She's screwed up. She's been fired. She'll be prosecuted. There's no evidence there's anything racist about it. I mean, just the assumption from absolute demagogues and fools like Rashida Tlaib saying, it's obviously racist. Why is it obviously racist? Her partner, who's a black guy,
right?
He's with her. She almost shot him, for Christ's sake. She's so incompetent. Yeah. It's scary. So nobody's defending her. She's already fired. She'll be prosecuted. Nobody's saying that was the proper protocol, the way some do with Derek Chauvin, and God knows his defense is making a case as we speak. But everyone condemns her. Everyone says, she screwed up. Everyone says she shouldn't even be on the job. She's already been fired. So what good does it do to add to this racist, to create a racial divide where there is none? I mean, they're literally, I don't know if you saw Dan Bongino and Geraldo Rivera screaming at each other last night on I think it was on Hannity, but Bongino was right. Geraldo was making it all about race when there's no evidence. I mean, what makes it, just because the criminal's black and she's not, that means it's definitively racist? Is that where we are?
There has never been a more straight up, overt, explicit example of incompetence than what she did. I mean, that is freaking God moronic. I mean, that is so freaking stupid. And maybe that, has to do with the fact that maybe she felt more threatened in the situation, which is part of another conversation we're probably not allowed to have. But I mean, for Rashida Tlaib to say no more policing, incarceration, and militarization, what's the intellectual grand plan then? If we don't have any of those concepts anymore, and like you said, does that go for the guys with antlers who are in jail right now?
No. Does it go for Derek Chauvin? Because if they convict him, does Rashida Tlaib want him incarcerated? That would be my first question. Do you think he should be incarcerated, or do you just put him in some rehab program? It's just madness. The people that there's extremes on both sides, but the extremes on one side, which would be, I don't know, the Viking man or whoever on the right, QAnon, whoever that is, they can't even, tweet. I mean, they don't have any voice. They can't go on Facebook. They don't go on TV. The extremes on the left are in Congress. I mean, they're in Congress. They're in the Senate. We're talking about, hell, in Minnesota, it's the Attorney General, Keith Ellison. As radical as they come, he hates America. This is who is the Attorney General, the top law enforcement officer in the state we're talking about. And when you think about it, Ayanna Pressley, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, these are powerful congressmen.
Right.
AOC's got 12 million followers on Twitter, and she's a complete radical lunatic.
Right.
That's the difference. And they will make this about race. They will intentionally fuel the flames, fan the flames of racial hatred because it's good for their brand. There's no evidence here. Those people, as soon as somebody dies, and somebody will, they will have blood on their hands. If you are making this about race when there's no evidence that it was about race, and you are blaming everybody, not just Kimberly Potter, you have blood on your hands when this gets out of control. As I tweeted, some fed up gas station owner is going to sit in a place in the dark with a shotgun, like in the movies, waiting for the looters, and he's going to blow one of them away. That person, when they die, their blood is on the hands of Ayanna Pressley, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Kamala Harris, Chris Cuomo, you name it, in the media, Joy Reid. These people are not just like trying to rationalize it. They're literally encouraging it and making it racial when there is no evidence of a racial issue here.
Right. And why can't they fix their own districts? If you look at Ilhan Omar's district,
No kidding.
These are crime-ridden districts, many of these districts, with municipalities that are run completely soup to nuts by Democrats, good liberals, good progressives. A lot of money poured into these districts, and they're still hellholes. We're still okay. It's still okay that the Democrat-run city of Chicago on the south side is like Fallujah. There's still a handful of body bags every night in Chicago, and it's just
2 nights ago. What was there? 15 people shot 2 nights ago, 3 nights ago, and not a word from any of the above of Rashida Tlaib or AOC. Not a word. And
no.
They would never ever think of going there. They don't tweet about it. Unless they can make it racial, they don't care. Unless they blame a white. You've followed Ayanna Pressley. Everything she does, everything she says about the vaccine, about the virus, everything is about race. That's all race and equity, which is one and the same in her mind. It's incredible, and there's just no pushback. There's no pushback saying, "What are you talking about, you crazy person?" There's no evidence that Kimberly Potter was motivated by race. You're making that up. And not only are you making it up, what you're doing when you make it up, you make matters worse. Does anyone disagree with that they make it worse?
Of course they do. If she was motivated by race, I think she'd have a different partner to start with. But you're right. Of course they make it worse. They're sowing the seeds for the disaster that's going to happen. And we all know it, not only them, but it's also validated by corporations, because this woman, this cop, instead of tasing a guy, shot him to death. Now, because of that, Delta's got to hire more blacks and women and make sure that it's 50-50 in the future. Right. It doesn't make any frigging sense, but these are the things these corporations are doing now. and they're codifying all these fallacies like this. There's not black men are not being hunted by cops. It's not happening. If black men are being hunted, it's by black men. If white men are being hunted, it's by white men. This is craziness here. Nobody wants to fix the problem, Jerry. That's the thing.
Well, you saw the poll. You saw that poll a couple weeks ago. There was a majority of Democrats thought the number of unarmed black men killed by cops was somewhere between 1,000 and 10,000 last year, in a year. In 2019, the real number's 13, I believe, and they thought there was at least 1,000. So where do they get that notion? It's from the media. It's from the mainstream media. It's from this notion that, as you said, as LeBron James said, they are hunted like whatever animals, like deer, when they leave their homes. They're hunted, which is a complete fallacy. And it's not just wrong, it's irresponsible. You make people believe the cops are hunting them and shooting them in cold blood. No wonder they hate cops. I mean, there's a reason there's that animus between the general public in these neighborhoods and these cities when they're told over and over again that cops are hunting and shooting them, unarmed black men, when it just is not true. I mean, it's just false. Of course they're going to be pissed off the way they are right now. It's not enough blame is placed on the media. But anyway, let's get to a couple things here. Let's here's what I want to know. This kind of wasn't made a big deal when it happened, but when the city of Minneapolis agreed to pay George Floyd's family, just as the trial for Derek Chauvin was starting, $27 million, and then a week later you're hearing the evidence and you're going, wait a second, he might get acquitted. He might be convicted of much lesser charges. He didn't. Derek Chauvin didn't necessarily murder George Floyd. That's still to be determined. Not only did they affect the jury when they made that decision, but they came to a number to give $27 million to the family of George Floyd, a admitted drug addict and small petty thief or criminal or whatever. What kind of precedent does that set? How much do they have to pay Daunte Wright's family now, who was clearly?
I mean, Daunte Wright, I think, has a good case for a civil.
Right. So you start at 27 million, right? So we're talking 30, 40, 50 million. How much money does Ashley Babbitt's family get who was shot dead, unarmed in the Capitol by a Capitol police officer who still has not been named? We already know everything about Kimberly Potter. God knows we know everything about Derek Chauvin. We don't even know the name of the guy who shot Ashley Babbitt in the throat and killed her because she was trespassing in the Capitol. Now you could say, and every time I bring this up, it's all, she shouldn't have been there. Well, did you see what Daunte Wright did? He tried to jump in the car and get away. They had a warrant for his arrest. They were taking him in. He resisted arrest and tried to drive away. That's not a death penalty crime.
But there was no determination made to kill Daunte Wright. There was a determination made to tase him, and she was a moron. So
right.
But I also disagree with you about the Capitol. I think that they had I have no problem with them shooting somebody trying to jump into the chambers, but these payouts.
She's trying to get through a door, and they shot her. Would you have been okay if they killed like 50 of them? I'm just one. Is that okay?
I would have had. I think that they could do to protect the congressman. I think
they were. The congressmen were no danger. None of them were any danger at this point. I mean, do you think we should know who the cop was? I mean, should he be named? Should he be questioned? Should everyone, or should just be up? She shouldn't have been there. She was trespassing.
I think the public has a right to know. Sure. But I don't think. I think that the thugs inside the White House were absolute thugs, and many of them were violent, and a lot of them were there to do damage. So I don't have a problem with the cops doing. I'm surprised only one person got shot. I'll tell you that. But I mean, should she be compensated? I don't know if she should be compensated. But these other people.
Well, you don't have to worry about that. She's not going to get compensated. Right. She's on the wrong side. If she were Antifa and she were trying to burn the Capitol down, or she were trying to hit a cop in the face with a brick or blind him with a laser, her family would be compensated.
Right. And if you look at like Antler guy, I mean, he's like any clueless stoner out there. I don't think he was being violent at all. He was just a moron and shirtless and sitting in the speaker's chair for a moment. I mean, I don't know why he's still incarcerated right now.
He's facing like 10 years, Tom, for doing that, for dressing up like and LARPing in the Capitol.
If Biden wasn't an incoherent moron, then he should probably try to sweep these guys, just pardon them all the nonviolent
pardon
people.
them all, just let them out and let them face trial.
Well, but it would be a good
charge them with trespassing and give them a big fine if you want.
I think it would show
service. That's what you do with trespassers. But
if
anyway,
if he was a uniter, Jerry, it would be a good move, kind of like a Shea's Rebellion kind of move.
Didn't we talk when the $27 million came out about with George Floyd's family? Didn't we talk about a precedent that was set earlier? Wasn't there a cop who shot somebody and that family got $20 million, but that cop was already convicted, I believe. Wasn't that?
Yeah, I was going to say, why did they rush to that? And how did they get to the number of 27? And they rushed to it before the jury was even seated. It was bizarre.
Well, they probably looked at a situation like this. They just they paid somebody $20 million, but it did that wasn't as much of a story as George Floyd. This was obviously this.
Chauvin. If Chauvin gets acquitted, do they ask for the money back? I mean, how's that work?
Well, no, I think that's one of the reasons they gave him the money. I think they knew that they didn't have a case going in, and I think also that they wanted the fires to stop, and at least the public leaders could say, "Hey, look, we paid off the family. We did something right before you burn stuff."
Well, I mean, obviously, they've already hired Benjamin Crump, the family of Daunte Wright. They're going to get at least $27 million. The floor has been established, and we'll see the video 1,000 times. I think what we should take away from that, obviously, is she was incompetent. She screwed up. She's going to face the consequences. But what was he doing? What did he think he was just going to get in the car, get away, and live happily ever after?
Isn't that an interesting thing, Jerry? It's just like we were talking about how the reporters don't want the cops to call it a riot and yelled at them. It's like we never talk about the fact that all of these guys were resisting law enforcement. All of these people were being unlawful. None of these incursions would have happened if there wasn't lawlessness happening on behalf of the perpetrators. It's
right.
Like,
and I mean, is that the message to young guys, black guys in the community? Like, if the cops pull you over, don't go take off. I mean, what good does it do? Is there ever a happy ending when you try to run from the cops or resist arrest? I know George Floyd was not of sound mind. He was maniacal, high, and he was just crazy, and he was not cooperative. But what did Daunte Wright think was going to happen? He was going to get in a car and take off, and then what? It just seems crazy, and he obviously did not deserve to die. But I'm not sure what he was thinking. And I'm not sure we're allowed to ask that, but what the hell was he thinking? It's crazy.
If you're ever going to run and try to get away from the cops without ramifications, this is the time to do it, right? I mean,
you better hope she knows her taser from her sidearm. That's all I can say. But and I said this, I've been saying this, I said it all last summer. I'll say it again. There's a reason for this unrest, and it's not just because politicians like Rashida Tlaib and Ayanna Pressley encourage it, romanticize it. It's because there's no consequences. There's no accountability. It's amazing when you think about it. If you're a law-abiding citizen, or if this was, I don't know, a year ago, and you thought, I'm going to take this rock, I'm going to throw it at the cops, I'm going to take this brick, I'm going to set this fire, I'm going to go into this Foot Locker and grab some stuff. You're thinking, will I get arrested? Will I get charged? Will I go to jail? Will it be on my record? Your natural inclination is to think, what are the consequences? Well, the answer in the last year, at least since BLM mobilized in these cities, is there are no consequences. There's no great price to pay for most rioters, looters, thieves, these violent criminals. Hell, in Portland, you can literally try to kill a cop and not do a day in jail, not do a day in prison, not pay a fine. So when they're sitting there yesterday and they're gathering and it's a peaceful protest before the curfew, you're wondering what happens next. Well, the question to me was, why not riot? If you're if you're a pissed off young guy and you're pissed at what happened to Daunte Wright. You're in Minnesota. Why not smash your windows? And I mean, obviously, there's the moral, dilemma, I guess, in your mind. But legally, you're thinking, I can do that with no consequences. The politicians, my representatives, the media, the freaking vice president.
They have insurance, Jerry. They have insurance.
They have insurance. Good point by you, Shattuck. So you can rationalize it easily because nobody is making you pay the price. There are no consequences. And not only that, I mean, you get the attention, as we mentioned in corporate America. They give BLM money, even though BLM is a violent Marxist organization. Not always Marxist, not when there's some fine real estate for sale in Topanga Canyon. Then we can be, then we lean, capitalist. But the idea that you can do these things, not go to jail, not pay a fine, not have a record, not really pay any price in the long run. What's the deterrent?
You're right. No, there isn't. And you said if you're a pissed off young guy, you don't have to be. You can be a very pleasant-minded young guy and be perfectly content. There's still, you might be a capitalist. There's utility in having an armful of Nikes, new Nikes. A lot of these looters they're not mad. They're having a ball. This is fantastic. Everything's free at the Walmart. As long as you know how to get
the guy who stole the podium back to the Capitol, that guy will probably do 20 years. The guy who stole the podium. If you steal a TV, or remember the guy who stole a washer dryer out of a Walmart I believe it was in Philadelphia, and they had him go behind the guy was doing a live report, and the guy was wheeling. Yeah. That guy, not even an hour. He won't go to jail for 10 minutes. It's just bizarre to me.
And this is where, Jerry, the real systemic racism comes in, and I'm actually using that term seriously here, because if 19 or 17-year-old Jerry Callahan was part of looting in a Walmart, what would be the deterrent to not do that again when you got home?
Oh, it would be the reason I made every decision was fear of my parents, fear of my father, mainly of not just getting punished, but disappointing him, letting him down. You're right. Obviously that's the biggest problem in inner cities today is, fatherless homes, or 73% of Black kids are in a single parent home right now. It's obviously the single biggest issue.
And it's incentivized through government.
Right.
These mothers get government checks and benefits. We're incentivizing this. We've destroyed dumb upper-class whites have destroyed the Black communities, made it their little pet project. And they're just throwing money at them, and it clears the conscience. Meanwhile, we've destroyed the Black community, which in some ways was living more fruitful lives, before the 60s. Obviously, Jim Crow is a horrific and deadly thing. But, to destroy the Black family was the magic ingredient to what we have now. And
now the big, the corporate, the woke corporations and the media and the Range Rover liberals out there, they don't think their Black fellow citizens can actually secure an ID to vote. That would be that's asking too much. They're the racist. That's the ultimate soft bigotry right there. So you're not smart enough to get a little picture, and even if you get one, you don't know which number is your driver's license number to put on the application.
They can't use computers according to Joe Biden.
You know what else is nuts? And I can't imagine it this happening even a year ago, but 5, 10, 15 years ago, the potential for rioting, for civil unrest, leads Major League Baseball to cancel a game. Cancel it. We don't want, and I believe yesterday was 2:00, right, Cullinane? No, yesterday was a night game. Today's 2:00.
No, I think yesterday was an afternoon game.
Yesterday, yesterday
there were fans in that.
Yep.
Yesterday was 2:30, I think, or 2:10. 1:10 local time in Minnesota.
Okay, so it's a date game. So the only way it's affected by the curfew, the 7 p.m. curfew, is if it goes into extra innings, I guess, or if it's a really long game. So they cancel a game saying out of respect. Respect for what? I mean, a crime we think was committed. This incompetent cop shot a guy who was wanted and had a warrant for his arrest. He tried to take off. She shot him. I mean, I'm sorry, but those kind of things happen in this country of 330 million. You're going to set a precedent. So when there's a shooting, you're going to say that shooting is so bad because why? Because she's a cop and he's a criminal, because he's black, she's white. What are the rules for canceling games because of things, because of crime or violent interaction with cops? Today, there's probably going to be more rioting tonight, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So do you play tonight?
I don't know. It matters what happens in the police log, I guess. I don't know. And also, it's not just if there's police incursions where a minority is killed. It's also what the state legislature is doing. So is the state legislature passing laws that are oppressive? Are they thinking of it? Should you fire a preemptive round by canceling games? I don't see how this stops, especially with, the Red Sox. They were thrilled to cancel the game.
Why?
But I don't see.
Oh, because right.
Because
they're thrilled to put out. No, today's 210. I'm looking at it right now. Today's April 13th, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Red Sox at Twins. Martin Perez against J.A. Happ. They got the lineups. Well, actually can't have a lineup yet, but stats.
So they played a couple of years ago
in
Hampton Yards when those riots were going on a couple of years ago.
Are you supposed to cancel today's game? Because the people are still pissed off. There's still a tragedy here, and it's still unfolding.
But I listened to your old station yesterday. Once the news broke, did you listen at all? You probably didn't.
I did not. I've gone a year and a half totally cold turkey. I haven't heard 1 second. I swear to God.
I haven't until this, and I turned on your old station, and Glenn and Maloney were talking about it. But very carefully for one segment and went right into Edelman.
It's a good. I should have texted Glenn because you're not allowed to do anything but the single, whatever the most boring sports topic is that day. That's what they're required to talk about. They're not allowed to talk about whatever lockdowns or
right. No, they went into the Patriots player who tweeted something or something, but not about race or anything or politics, just about getting paid.
I guarantee there was a program director with his finger on the button because they had to talk about the Red Sox game getting canceled, but they probably couldn't really tell you why.
Well, actually, it was I think one of the first tweets I saw was actually Jamel Hill talking about this, and she actually was right, which was if you look at the Twins statement on why they canceled the game, nowhere in the Twins statement did they say they were canceling because of safety risks in their statement. It literally
John Heyman put out a tweet and he said the game has been postponed due to curfews and potential for riots. And I believe the Twins and other media members said, "Oh, that's not true." Of course it's true. What else would it be canceled for? Out of respect for the family. That's not why you can't. They don't cancel games because a 20-year-old guy.
Do they not anymore, Jerry? In 2021, maybe you do now. This is you're showing your corporate wokeness now by saying, "Hey, we're punishing you. You have to pay for this Brooklyn Center or whatever it's called because your police were bad. You don't get to have the game now." And this is how we react.
There was no safety concern at 2:10 in the afternoon. There were safety concerns at if you want to talk about a 7:30 start or a 7:05 start, but 2:10 in the afternoon was no safety.
But the stadium wasn't going to be
filled
anyway.
I just clicked on, this is the Boston Red Sox. It says postponed. Can you confirm that today?
No, today?
It says Tuesday. I mean, I could literally.
Oh, my God. That's crazy.
It says Tuesday, April 13th, Red Sox at Twins, Target Field, Minneapolis, big yellow thing postponed. Double check that for me, Cullen. Would you please? I want to get to. The Heyman tweet changed everything. Everybody knew it was canceled because of potential rioting. It wasn't canceled because, a 20-year-old guy got shot by a cop. They were afraid. And you're right. They don't like the look of it either. The look of it having a game when there's smoke coming out of some burning building down the street. So they canceled, but it's a bad look and a bad precedent for Major League Baseball to make these decisions based on, the civil unrest. So, again, if it happens today, you don't play. What about tomorrow? What about when there's a charge against the cop? What about when there's a trial? What about when Derek Chauvin, there's a verdict coming in? Do you play that day? I mean, it just sets a bad precedent, but everyone knows
but Jerry,
baseball.
to me, It reminds me of the beginning of the pandemic last year when first we were closing bars for this capacity during these hours, and then these hours, then more restaurants, and then we just went over the cliff and everything was closed. I wouldn't be shocked
Right.
if somehow baseball can't get out of its own way and the whole thing comes to a grinding halt. Nothing would surprise me anymore.
Yeah, today's still on. Today's
postponed?
2:10 start.
Okay, I swear to God, I'm looking at the website. I guess I'll look. What are you looking at? RedSox.com?
Yeah, I'm on RedSox.com, just confirming it. Yep.
Well, then this is wrong. This is MSN Sports, Microsoft News Sports, and it says 2:10 postponed. But we'll see. It might happen. What time does the Red Sox game say? The Red Sox say their game starts.
Their game starts at 2:10 Eastern time today.
And is it Martin Perez versus J.A. Happ?
I don't know. It does actually on their Red Sox preview. It doesn't say the starters today, unfortunately, yet. So
Really?
not sure. Yes, not sure.
Whatever. I wouldn't be surprised. Let me tell you. You talked about my old radio station and how disappointing it is. Let me tell you about one of my former publications, the Boston Herald, which never ceased. I mean, just so disappointing. There's just such a great opportunity for a feisty tabloid. The New York Post has certainly thrived in this. In these crazy times, but the Herald is it's just so disappointing. Here's your headline from yesterday's Red Sox story, and they tweeted this headline out, and it's this clown Mastronato who every day he uses the Herald to audition for a job at the Globe. He's just a complete pinhead, woke liberal a-hole that I don't even know why they still employ him. He doesn't do anything different from what you get from the Globe or any other website. I don't know why anyone would ever buy the paper to read their Red Sox coverage. But anyway, here's the headline. Shattuck from Boston Herald yesterday. It says, "Can Alex Cora keep the Red Sox clubhouse together following ongoing racial injustice?" ? That's the headline. And by the way, the tweet. And the story refers to more ongoing racial injustice. And man, I understand if that's a columnist, I guess. The nation's ongoing issues with racial injustice. What are you talking about, Jason Mastrano? I mean, it's literally no evidence of anything racial. So because you're so concerned with the community and the kids in the inner city, you're going to make up. You're going to create this notion, this myth that she was motivated by race, just because because Daunte Wright was black and she was white. That's racial injustice. I mean, that's quite a leap, and it's totally irresponsible. And I think it's wrong, and it's embarrassing to see that in the Boston Herald today. But hey, everyone's chasing it.
Well, he's done some good work, though, Jerry. He's done some good work. Remember last week he caught a couple of fans with their masks partially down.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Called them out. Not a great look, he tweeted out when he got the people in the stands.
And the Red Sox probably got them, tracked them down, kicked them out, banned them for life. Banned them for life. Did you know the Red Sox had the biggest Black Lives Matter banner in the whole world? You should know that, Shattuck. But
I think that's is that theirs, or is that the one that belongs to John Rosenfield, or the guns Wrights guy?
Oh, is his bigger? Is his bigger? I don't know. I don't think anyone's got a bigger one than the Boston Red Sox. Theirs is the biggest. They care the most. They care so much that they're not going to donate to Little League anymore because there are too many boys in Little League.
Where the hell is that story? I've only heard that in your show. I cannot believe that is not national news.
Well, the Herald had it. It wasn't that clown Mastrano, but it was someone else who did it. But one more item from Brooklyn Center before we move on to Julian Edelman and in the White House here. But they fired the city manager because he said that the cop, Kimberly Potter, deserved due process. He got fired by the mayor. That's how crazy this is. And I saw somebody predicting the police chief, who I thought handled himself well under the circumstances, will be fired by the end of the week. The mayor has no tolerance for due process or even asking any more questions. She's evil. She's fired. She's criminal. He's, an innocent saint. Let's start negotiating the settlement. Let's make sure we pay him, and let's not have any voices of dissent here, or and apparently this city manager had a really good record. I saw a story where everyone was saying he's been great for the city. All he did was say, I want to, before we prosecute her, or before we throw her to the wolves, let's have a due process. They said, we will have none of that.
No,
you're gone.
That is part of the tone deaf provision of the new woke laws.
And by the way, I think he's
for a
black.
year.
I think he's
still tone deaf. If you're tone deaf, you've got to go, Jerry. You can ask
Speaking of
Dave
tone
Edelman
deaf,
about that.
Speaking of tone deaf, I want to get to the White House outreach to the good old boys. The White House, who says they're not trying to reach across the aisle, they're reaching out to the rednecks. And I think it's going to be very effective. I want to talk about Shea Concrete, and then we'll get to the end of Julian Edelman's career and the White House attempts to reach out to Bubba. They want to reach out to Bubba and all the other good old boys. But let me tell you about Shea Concrete. First of all, this is for you homeowners and home builders. Did you know that Shea Concrete has a huge selection of precast concrete steps? Of course you did. Whether you're building a new home or you need to replace an old staircase, Shea has great values with designs for any home available in concrete, or you can customize your steps with beautiful stone, granite, or brick. A new staircase can dramatically upgrade the front entrance of your home. In most cases, they can remove the old stairs and have you walking up your new front steps within hours. You do nothing. You sit there, you can watch them work. Watch out the windows. They work. Get rid of those old steps, bring in the new steps. And you know what happens? Right away, your house is worth more and it looks better. It's the perfect spring project. It's not really an expense. It's an investment in your home, and a good one. Trust me on this. You can learn more about Shea's precast concrete steps at sheaconcrete.com, or just stop in to one of their 4 state-of-the-art facilities all over New England. That is sheaconcrete.com. All right, before we get to Julian Edelman, do you have this tweet from the White House? They what was they reached out in 3 ways to try to get stubborn rednecks to get vaccinated. Now, me being a stubborn redneck, I thought they were trying to reach out to me to get through to me. I didn't see any of these. They were on what is it? The greatest catch, the 3 things.
Deadliest catch.
The deadliest catch. Deadliest catch. This looks like a cool show. I've never really watched it. Country music television, CMT.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a country music guy, but I'm not a big viewer of country music television. And what was it? NASCAR, the 3rd thing?
Exactly. Yes.
So those 3 things are the way they've decided to reach out to redneck America. And it just seems like nobody in the White House, which is no surprise, even has a clue who these people are and
No.
I think they're into fishing and NASCAR and country music. Yeah, let's do it. Let's
assume and Hee Haw, I assume, is on there as well, and
Hee Haw still
Grand Ole Opry, and
I don't know. Maybe it is effective. I can't imagine that. I personally don't think any redneck, old redneck, good old boys are going to get vaccinated until they can see Sean Hannity get vaccinated. That's the way I look at it.
That's right. I love that too. You got Jen Psaki saying, yes, we've made incursions into what the idiot hayseeds watch, and we're running PSAs. These people, if they see a PSA from this White House condescending to them,
I know.
Half the reason that Trump had support is that he wasn't condescending to them. He didn't look down on them. These people they're smarter than they get credit for. And for these know-it-all freaking coastal elites to run spots in their commercials, give me a freaking break.
It's like when Biden says, wear a mask. It's not political. Wear a mask. And I'm thinking, 97% of the people already wearing masks, and the 3% who aren't are never, ever going to listen to you, Joe. I can news for you. Even if they were thinking of wearing a mask.
Well, what's the nicest thing they ever say about the right and Trump voters? The nicest thing they ever say is, well, they like Trump and they like conservatism because they've noticed their neighborhood's changing. They've noticed that store at the corner, it's no longer run by a white guy. Now an Indian guy might be running it. Or there's now more black people playing with the kids. They said, and they say, well, that bothers them, that scares them, and leaves them threatened. And that's the nicest thing they say, is that Trump people are worried about race and race, the race demographics changing.
Every last one of them is race hustlers. Everything they do, everything they say is just race. They want racial division. They need racial division. It's like their currency. Here is the line from Jen Psaki. She says, "We've run PSAs on The Deadliest Catch. We've engaged with NASCAR and country music television. We are looking for a range of creative ways to get directly connected to white conservative communities." The Deadliest Catch, and
we don't see why they don't trust us, she says, as they pull the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
Right.
The one that Fauci was cheerleading for just yesterday. Yay, you're going to have it.
I know you're vaccinated because, you had a little weight issue and you didn't want to take any chances. And Cullinane's vaccinated because he's a freaking hypochondriac who waited 2.5 hours to get his shot, even though he's 30 years old and thin. And not vulnerable at all. See, I'm waiting.
I had an appointment, so even though it was late, I had an appointment.
Did you really stand in line for 2.5 hours?
At a CVS with.
What did you do in line for 2.5? Did you have your phone?
Also, I had my phone, so I was on Twitter, and it was in and out of service. So it was an ugly situation for me at that.
I mean, I would say, if I were you, I'd rather get the virus than wait 2.5 hours in line. I mean, you'd probably be through it in 2.5 hours.
Jerry, can you imagine how excited Cullinane is about having a vaccine passport?
Oh, I tweeted it.
Oh yeah. He's gonna have it laminated.
Oh yeah, in the sticker. You definitely took a selfie. There's no way you didn't take a selfie.
You're right. I took a sticker. I did. A selfie and a sticker.
I'm on the fence because if Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson get the vaccine, then I will. If they don't, I don't know. But to me, I trust Fauci. I believe in Fauci. He's our leading expert. And every time I think about getting vaccinated, he says, what's the point? What's the point? He says, you can get vaccinated, but you can't leave your house. You can't go to restaurants. You can't fly. You just got to stay home and socially distance and wash your hands. So I say, well, Dr. Fauci, he's the man, right? He's the man. He's led this whole effort, and he knows what he's talking about. And it used to be these anti-vaxxers were crazy, like Robert Kennedy Jr. or Jenny McCarthy. But now the biggest anti-vaxxer in America is Dr. Anthony Fauci, who says, what changes after you get vaccinated? Nothing. So I said,
Jerry, and the left always asks the question the same way. They lead him, and he drools when they ask him the question. And listen to how they ask the question and how he answers.
Eating and drinking.
Oops, sorry, hold on.
Drinking indoors in restaurants and bars.
No, it's still not okay for the simple reason that the level of infection.
The guy asked him, "Is it okay to eat and drink in bars?"
And bars.
And Fauci said, "No, it's not okay." He doesn't get to say what's okay and what's not okay.
Amazing. Like he thinks that's his domain to say whether you should go into a restaurant when you're vaccinated. It's just, I mean, honest to God, the idea that we want everyone to get vaccinated, but you're not really going to get to do anything you're not already doing is so dumb. He's such a bad spokesman. He's such a bad, front man for this whole effort. Everybody knows he's just an egomaniac who roots for the virus because it makes him important. And the day the virus is gone is the saddest day in this old man's life. He will be like calling Jake Tapper and he's going to say, "You sure you don't need me? It's like the anniversary of the virus. Yeah, sure, I'm available if you need me. I'll come in if you need me." He'll be just waiting.
He is addicted to the green room food now in all of these places. and you know what? These health people have beclowned themselves so much because you've got Walensky, who had an impending sense of doom, remember, last week,
right.
And she was really scared. And then 2 days later, she was all happy because the vaccine was working. She has waffled both sides. When she said that teachers can teach without being vaccinated, they threw her into a van and they re-educated her, and she was saying that in her personal capacity. I mean, the CDC and our healthcare bureaucracies were so frigging unprepared for what is exactly their charter that it's incredible. And they've been just playing catch up and blame games ever since. They dropped the ball on this in such a they grabbed the gun instead of the taser on a much bigger level. And for them now to be telling us that we need to believe them, They have zero credibility.
Nobody listens to them. Everyone knows they're just political hacks. The CDC now, the CDC, and I believe that stands for Center for Disease Control, is now saying we need money to fight racism because racism is a public health threat. Right? What the hell are you talking? You're supposed to be doing diseases.
Yeah.
You're supposed to have people that have these advanced science degrees from MIT telling us about diseases. About you say we need money to fight racism. That's not your. Leave that to the crazies in Congress we talked about. That's not your job, Dr. Walensky or Dr. Fauci. I mean, they're just out of control. Their self-importance. They've just so full of themselves. I don't know what they're all going to do when this pandemic is over. When, thanks to Donald Trump's vaccine, we get through this. But we've gotten a good glimpse of what they're all about, and it's all about their own celebrity, their own importance.
Can you imagine you've had cancer, Jerry, having a serious disease and having a doctor say, we're going to fight your cancer through a lens of climate justice and social justice.
Right.
Say, get the freak out of here.
Do your job.
Yeah.
Well, I know you've talked about it, and everyone has. But we got to do the Stelter thing because it's so amazing, and he's such a clown. And you had a great column on Substack. If you haven't been following Tom Shattuck on Substack, what is it? Tom Shattuck /
.substack.com.
Yes, you read it. He gives himself a special dispensation to fat shame because he and Stelter do have something in common. But you did a nice job of pointing out what an absolute clown he is. This is a leading voice on CNN, a leading voice on the left. And what he said the other day, we can play it, but it's almost too much to believe. He talked about TV people, these virtue signaling egomaniacs like Jim Acosta doing, tweeting out the video or the photos of them getting the vaccine. And every time I see it, I say, what the hell are you getting it for? Jim Acosta, I mean, he's obviously a doughy load, but he's not really, he's in his 40, 50 maybe? I mean, he's not
49, I think.
49. So does that mean everybody over 65, every single person in the country has been vaccinated? Because if it doesn't, what the hell business are these 49-year-olds? What business do they, or like Ben Volen from the Globe, he's like in his 30s and he's bragging about getting the vaccine and showing you pictures. And I'm saying, are you even eligible? Why do people think that's a good image? That look at me, I'm 30 years old and I'm getting vaccinated. I got a senior assisted living place next to me. Until everyone in there is vaccinated, I don't feel right. And it's nothing virtuous. It just doesn't feel right to be cutting a line ahead of them. So
no.
Brian Stelter, who's in his 30s, even though he looks like he's about 60. Brian Stelter, if you don't know what it is, he's the human potato. He's Humpty Dumpty. There's a million nicknames. He is an absolute clown. And he does a thing the other day on where are all the selfies from Fox News people getting vaccinated. It was almost too much to believe.
It's really important to see all these TV anchors, personalities showing themselves getting the shot. We've seen a lot of vaccine selfies from lots of folks at lots of different networks. It's been really inspiring to see. The Today Show even brought the co-hosts outside for a live group vaccination this week. And Rachel Maddow on Friday on MSNBC talked about how she was really fearful of the needle, really worried about it. And yet it was important to get the shot, and she did. And there she is talking about it on air. So I say all of that to make the following point. Where are Tucker and Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham? Where is Ainsley Earhardt and Steve Doocy and Brian Kilmeade? Where are the biggest stars on Fox getting vaccinated? I get it's a personal choice. I get that's between, the hosts and their healthcare provider. But everybody else is doing it, right, Matt? I mean, all across television, all these anchors are rolling up their sleeves. Why do you think we haven't seen the biggest stars on Fox News get vaccinated or show us their vaccine selfies?
His guess
that
must
is
have been
almost too much to believe. That is incredible. First of all, who knows if they've gotten it? Maybe they're not eligible. Maybe they're going to wait. Maybe they're like me. They're waiting to make sure every old person gets it done. Maybe they're not worried about getting the coronavirus at this point because they're careful and they're not going out in vulnerable situations. Whatever. Maybe they have their reasons. First of all. Secondly, who the hell gets inspired when you see Brian Stelter or Jim Acosta getting an injection in their arm on Twitter inspired? Is there one person who says, I was on the fence, I wasn't necessarily going to get vaccinated, but Brian Stelter and Jim Acosta and Rachel Maddow did it, I guess I'll do it. That's what he thinks, that he's inspiring other people?
I want to meet the person inspired to get a shot because Chris Hayes did. I want to meet that person. You know, it's like
Chris Hayes, because Chris Hayes is about 30. And what the hell is he getting shot for? Are we done? Is every 65, 70-year-old done?
Right. No, nobody's like, hey, am I going to get a colonoscopy because Lou Dobbs got one? It's like people don't act like that. People aren't inspired like that. It's just horse bleep. It's a horse bleep segment he did. Obviously, he's a moron. The guest must have been horrified that he had to, indulge in this conversation. But also, there's nothing noble about getting a vaccine. There's nothing to brag about. It's just like people who have the I voted sticker. You didn't do anything special. There was nothing. If you do the Pan Mass Challenge for charity, you've done something, a little something. You know, that you can take a selfie for that because that kicks your ass. That's hard.
I've done that. I've bragged about that. I've sent selfies.
I found you inspiring, Jerry. But to get a vaccine, to go down if you're the Today Show, down to the street where the little people are and show them, you guys, we'll show the idiots that if we can do it, and we're really important, those idiots can do it too. So we'll go down to the street level so some of them will see, they'll be witnesses to see us do this. And then we'll feel really proud of ourselves. There's pictures of the Today Show hosts, including Al Roker, who, to me, Jerry, will always be fat. He can get as skinny as he wants to. He's always one of mine.
At least he's older and vulnerable.
But Roker and Hoda, Pippo, whatever her name is, Hoda, and the other four in Carson Daly, all are holding their vaccine passports, in the superhero pose. Why are you showing off? That's not a feat of strength.
Meanwhile, there's some 80-year-old, World War II, 90-year-old World War II vet behind Cullinane in line, waiting with their cane and their walker. And Cullinane's like proud of himself because he boxed them out and got his vaccine. But, that's all well and good. Good, get your vaccine. But what do you care if I do it? That's what I would say to Stelter.
Right. And Stelter should be ashamed.
Why do you care if Tucker Carlson did it if you did it?
Well, that's what Gutfeld responded with, right? Gutfeld got a shot. He just said it wasn't made for TV. That's all.
That's right. He did, yeah. Which was kind of disappointing. Gutfeld is in good shape, and he's not. Well, maybe he's got some condition, but he said he got his shot, but he wasn't bragging about it, and we shouldn't be. I don't find it inspiring when some spindly arm doughboy like Jim Acosta says, "Look at me." Remember, he had the T-shirt on that said all the things covered. He was bragging. I mean, it's just an ego trip for these people. They're whatever. But Stelter is good. He provides comic relief, so we appreciate it. All right, let's get to Julian Edelman. What are your thoughts, Shattuck, on Julian Edelman? Hall of Famer or no?
Well, he's not going to be eligible for the Hall of Fame, Jerry, because he'll be playing for your Tampa Bay football Buccaneers.
Yeah. There we go.
Next year.
That was everyone's first reaction was, he's going to Tampa. But then we found out, and I think we got the story. Mike Giardi from NFL Network had it. His knee is a mess. It is bone on bone. He's going to need a knee replacement. There's nothing left to do in terms of surgery. They did him a favor by releasing him from his contract and get this injury settlement. He had an amazing career, incredible overachiever, obviously great chemistry with another overachiever in Tom Brady. The toughest, I put him at 1A as the toughest Patriot I think I've ever seen. Welker's right there, 1B, and Troy Brown's not far behind. These guys, as I tweeted, Tom Brady required his receivers to do one thing above all others. It's go over the middle, go in those dangerous places where Vontaze Burfict might remove your head. Ryan Clark or Cam Chancellor might just end your career. And nobody did it with more guts, more consistently, more production than Edelman. Obviously, Welker was great, but Edelman won. Edelman won 3 Super Bowls. Welker won none. He's not a Hall of Famer. It's not even a serious debate discussion. He didn't have enough production. Do you know how many Pro Bowls? He was a Super Bowl MVP. Do you know how many Pro Bowls Julian Edelman made?
6 Pro Bowls, John.
I don't think he never did, right?
That would be zero. I'm not sure how many Hall of Famers never made a Pro Bowl, but it doesn't matter. He was there in the big moments. As Brady tweeted, as Brady Instagrammed out, he was super clutch and super tough, and he had the greatest catch I've ever seen, period.
Yeah.
That one against the Falcons when he was like, I caught it. That one was just amazing. He had a number of catches and a number of times where he got drilled, and you said, how the hell is he getting up from that? And he just kept getting up and playing on. We all know his story. A college quarterback, 7th round pick, turned out to be a stud, a winner, a Patriots Hall of Famer for sure. I'm not sure, that he wanted it to end this way. Probably, he can't. He's walking away. I guess he's limping away. And I always wonder with guys like Welker and Edelman how they're going to be, when they're my age, or even if they're 50, are they going to be paying the price even then? Because they took so many hits. And they had just such, big balls. That's what I'll remember about Edelman. Big balls.
What do you think he does next, Jerry? What do you think he does next? Because
good question. He's smart and he's good looking, obviously, and he's very media savvy, as you know from his social media. He took his cues from Brady, and he had a little social media team. But I'm telling you what, I heard a couple of people. I was watching NFL Network this morning, and they were talking about it. Is he could teach a lot of people, and not just in sports, how to handle things in this cancel culture era, because two guys were got in trouble for anti-Semitic things, including Deshaun Jackson, who was over the top anti-Semitic. It wasn't just some dumb slur that he blurted out playing video games, which is the story from Myers Leonard. Two guys both said anti-Semitic things, and he reached out to them, said, let's have lunch, let's talk. They probably don't know a lot of Jewish guys. Edelman was proudly Jewish and he handled it beautifully. And it's too bad more people don't handle it like him. Don't just say, fire them, cancel them, destroy them. He said, let's talk. Maybe you can learn a little something about the Jewish people, and maybe you'll come away a better person. And I think he did that for them. He, helped me through them a light. Myers Leonard is still, I believe, unemployed, but he helped them in this point where they were, drowning in the court of public opinion. They were getting bombarded, and he said, let's do lunch. He just handled it great. Very smart. It's a good question. Whatever he does, it'll have something to do with being on TV or, because he's a good-looking guy.
He's not like that. He's not a tier. Like, he's not in that well-known. I mean, he's well-known, but he's not like that upper echelon of athlete that you think, okay, it's a lock that he's going to do X because he's so well-known, so Fox will take a chance on him. He's savvy. We tell him up here, but it's I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what he does.
Maybe an NFL Network kind of thing, or something.
He certainly could. But Jerry, you went back to cancel culture. Remember, this is the guy whose career was almost over and finished after being falsely accused of groping a woman.
Right.
This guy was done. Remember, the talk at that point was that he's gone. He's going to get booted, and we weren't going to have this. And he wasn't even that good at that point in his career.
True.
But, thank God for videotaping that one, because he would have been finished, which was also just a good insight into how terrible people can be, especially good liberal people.
Maybe he'll be like a Zolak or like a Fourier and stick around and do radio, do TV around here, because Patriots fans adore him.
Yep.
Like I said, Patriots, Belichick adores him. He'll be a Patriot Hall of Famer. He'll be a legendary Patriot. Never played for anybody else. Obviously, that's rare in this day and age. Even when he was a free agent, Patriots said, go out and see what you can get. And there was nothing out there because his chemistry with Brady, the trust Brady had in him was his best attribute, and it just didn't translate somewhere else. So he belonged here. He stayed here.
Yeah.
He made good money. Never made ridiculous like Sammy Watkins money, but he made enough, so he's fine. And you're right. He'll probably be on his net worth is $25 million, so I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, right. He
Well,
more than anybody probably humanized Bill Belichick a lot too. They had
That's
a very
true.
friendly banter, and he exposed that more than a Brady and Gronk did. So it's gonna be interesting. And those responses out of Belichick and Kraft were pretty remarkable. Like
but if you go back and listen to like the mic'd up versions of the 28-3 game, Edelman was on frigging fire, super motivated, over the top positive. He was freaking it was almost like an emotional overdose of enthusiasm throughout that game. When they were getting killed, he was acting like they were winning 28-3. I mean, somebody that's super motivated, what do they usually do when they get in the outside world? If you're that like jacked up in
Well, we know he hung out with Brady, and he went to the whatever the motivational thing with Brady that we talked about. With Tony Robbins. Yeah, so he does. You know, the one criticism, which was mostly just good fun, was that he was Brady's little brother and followed in Brady's footsteps and tried to do everything Brady did. That's not such a bad way to go about it, though, when you think about how dedicated Brady was to the game, and it worked. It worked for Edelman. Had a good 12-year career for a guy who took that many hits. It was never going to last forever. He was never going to be 42 years old and running patterns over the middle, catching balls over the middle. It wasn't going to last. It just like it didn't for Wes Welker. That's not a long-term thing, but he did okay, and he'll do okay post his playing career.
Two guys, Brady and Edelman, two guys who were blessed by being underrated and, as they felt, disrespected.
Yep, two handsome guys too. Two very handsome.
Handsome guys, and you will see Julian Edelman playing for those Tampa Bay football.
You will, yeah. You think
next year? Correct.
Strong prediction.
I think he would like to. Unfortunately, I don't think his body or his knee will allow it. But congratulations to Edelman, the second most playoff receptions ever, behind a guy named Jerry Rice, and obviously Super Bowl MVP and 3 rings. But when you stack up his regular season numbers, he's not even close to Hines Ward or Reggie Wayne, Torrey Holt. There's a lot of guys that would go in ahead of him. And when the Hall of Fame voters sit down, they look at those things. Patriots fans look at rings, as they should, but Hall of Fame voters, all the Peter Kings and those guys, are going to look at those regular season numbers and the Pro Bowls and the touchdowns, and Edelman's just don't stack up. But so what? He won a lot. He had a great time, and his legend, his reputation is pretty secure here in New England. So congrats to Jules. But
watch him next year, Jerry. He's going to be part of it.
Congrats to Tom Shattuck on another fine effort on Substack. Like I said, you can read about him poking fun at his fellow.
Thank you, Jerry.
Large,
fat,
husky, big-bodied, big-boned individual. I can't get enough mocking and ridiculing of Brian Stelter.
Right.
I know it's easy, but he just can't mock him enough. He's like a real life, Costanza. He's just.
In the screenshots that Tucker Carlson uses when he calls him a eunuch, he's got this milquetoast sneer that just doesn't do him any favors.
When he's at the computer with his pants, he did his Zoom call with no pants on.
Yeah.
He's got like red socks on and his underwear, and it just looks ridiculous. And maybe he's okay with it, but we should thank him for providing us some fine entertainment, because boy, is he a clown. But good job on Substack, Shattuck, and good job today. We will talk to you again soon. Thanks to Shea Concrete and Allied Paving at DCU and Pluto TV, and thanks to you, Cullinane. What else? Anything?
Nothing crazy. You see the Texans are officially part, but not officially like actual football, but they are deleting Deshaun Watson from everything.
Boy,
and that is the right move.
And once we're done with all this rioting and stuff, we'll get back to Deshaun Watson, because his troubles are not going away. Of course, he's no Britt Reed. Andy Reid's son has been formally charged. The details are coming out. He was going 84 miles an hour on an on-ramp with a blood alcohol level of 0.113. And when he hit the two cars, injured young Ariel, who still can't walk or talk. He's facing 1 to 7 years in prison because she's alive. I mean, if she were not, he'd be in much bigger trouble. But he's going to prison, and the Chiefs organization is going to have to write a big check to Ariel's family, and they should, because everyone believed that Britt Reed was drinking at the facility. And I know it's not, a father's, you don't blame the father for everything his son did, but if he's on the job because of dad, and he's drinking on the job, and he's driving 84 miles an hour, after drinking and after the troubles he's had in the past, the Chiefs have to take some responsibility here, and I assume that will come in the form of a big check to the family, and we'll see. But he's going to jail, he's going to prison, and he ain't coaching again anytime soon. But anyway, we'll follow that story as well, and we'll stay on top of all this. We'll give you an update tomorrow. We'll give a riot update on the peaceful protesting every day as we move forward. But thanks for listening. I'm Jerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Podcast, and we will do it again tomorrow.